Okay, I am on the air. I am live. Today is Tuesday, April 18th, 2023. I'm Mark, your host, coming from Baker's Green Acres in lovely Marion, Michigan. And welcome to the show. Tonight's topic is the purpose-driven homestead. Jay-Z, welcome. Would you just look at that? Would you look at that? Oh, man. We're going to have so much fun coming up here. Oh, boy, I tell you what, we had beautiful weather last week. It was like, okay, spring is here. It's here. But then I think Sunday, well, it snowed and it was cold and blowing. We were going to have a little campfire, but that got kind of dashed against the rocks. And then yesterday was about the same. You know, it was just miserable outside. And it's weird when you have to go back to your long johns after you've been out of them for a week. I get PTSD from it. Anyway, today it's bright and sunny out right now, and we have clear skies. It's windy, and the wind is very cold. All right, Hildy's with us. Yeah, it wasn't a real nice day today here. It is now. I mean, it kind of cleared. It's clear now, but it's windy and it's cold. My eyes are. I've been out all day. I milked this morning, and then we had a big time staff meeting, and let's see. Then I had to go on a search and destroy mission. We needed some things for our milking operation. We're milking 5 cows right now, and we're supplying 30-something people with milk. So that's a going concern, you know. And I had to go on a mission to find some things because, like I say, we were always trying to make it a better process. So we were using 1-gallon containers, right? Glass. And then we went to, and this was my idea, we went to plastic jugs. Got to go to plastic jugs, right? Because people don't bring back the glass containers. They just don't bring them back. They forget. And each one of them is like $6. And then you put a plastic lid on it and it's up to around $8. You know, they just forget. I'm sure we have them all over the place here. And so I was like, well, we're going to do it anymore. And then we discovered half gallons, and you can get ball jars, and they're worth $2 to buy. And then the lid is $1 and something. And so we went that way, and we're still having problems getting them back. You know, people forget, and then they forget, and then they forget. And I don't know what they think. I don't know if they think that they just grow on trees, but the people who do bring them back, and there's a really good group of people that do that, once we use them twice, we pretty much pay for them, because a plastic jug is about $1.25, really, by the time you pay to get it here. And it just kind of goes against our grain. It's not our purpose, you know. It's not our purpose to do that. So now we're with the half-gallon jugs, ball jars, and we had the 2-piece lids. They rust. I don't think they're meant to be used a bunch of times, and we've been using them quite a bit. And I just made the decision, nope, we're going to go to the plastic lid. And so we had about half plastic and half the ring and top thing. And so I said, that's it. We got to standardize this. And I said, I'll do it myself. And I'm going to find these damn things. They're got to be around here someplace. So I went to 1, 2, 3 on my 4th store. I found them, and they had 30 of them. They had 30 lids. So I got them all. And I told the guy, hey, get some more, will you? Because we're going to need them. So next Wednesday, he'll have a bunch more. He said he'd get 50 a case of 50. And so that'll be good. That we'll have enough. So that's what I did. And when I got home, I had to go into the milk cooler and take the lids off that were the wrong ones and put the right ones on. And I had to sit and pull each one out. And what I did, if any of you are going to do this, these markers that I use on the board here, they're not actually dry erase markers. They're something different, you know, that like they have sort of a fluid, sort of a paint. They're like a paint marker, and that's what we use on here. And you can just wash this off with soap and water. So the lids that I got, I can write on them with these. They won't smear off like a dry erase board would if you hit it with your hand or your arm or something. But when they go through the dishwasher, they come out clean as a whistle. At least that is what we think. I mean, I took them and I wrote the date on them with a green one, and then I let it sit until it was completely dry. And then I put it in the sink with a little bit of just a sponge with a little bit of water on it. Gone. It was nice and clean. So what I'm about is eliminating steps in the process. And so I eliminated like one or two, because we were sending away for these little stickers that were about this big. They were nice. They said Baker's Green Acres on them, and there was room on there to write the date, and you'd stick it on the top of the thing. And I'm thinking, well, this is great because it'll be in somebody's fridge, and they'll open the fridge and they'll see Baker's Green Acres. But when the lids come back, you got to take it off. And so there's a step. You got to take it off and then put it in the dishwasher, because you can't put it in the dishwasher with that thing on. So it's just a bunch of little things. And as you go through, you say, well, this would be better if we did it this way. There's a possibility we could get these ball jars laser etched, you know, with the nice Baker's Green Acres logo. Possibly. I don't know who would do it. I'm going to check some friends that are into things like that. That'd be neat. You know, it'd be worth it, because if it's sitting on somebody's table and it's that nice Baker's Green Acres logo that we have, I really like it. I have some shirts with it. I'm not wearing that tonight. I'm wearing my Anyone Can Farm shirt, right? And I like this one too. This is a great one. This is one of my favorite shirts. Jill got this for me for Christmas, and it's, you know, like she gets me one, and if I like it, like I wear it, then she'll say, okay, that's a good one. I'll get you another one. So some of them I don't like too much. And then it's really kind of intricate, because a shirt like this in the summertime, I cannot wear this if it's dark like this. You can't. You're in the sun, and a dark shirt will roast. It will burn you, right? So I have to have shirts that are just very light colored button-up shirts. I don't do t-shirts. I'm not a big t-shirt guy. I like shirts with a pocket on it, so I can keep a pen there, because I need to write stuff down in the course of the day. So that was my day, and then I did something last night that I should not have done, and I paid the price for it. We have a water system here that's seasonal. So my water that goes to the animals during the summer is shut off during the winter time, right? Obviously, because it's sitting on the top of the ground, and it's just 3/4 inch poly pipe. And in the wintertime, that freezes. And so you're not moving any water anyway. So we just shut it down. I have a system where I can just close a frost-free hydrant, and it kills everything. And I have it turned on I had it turned on, and when there's pressure in the line and it freezes, then you run the risk of doing damage, right? And I should have shut it off last night. I don't know why I didn't. I spaced it, and when I came out this morning, I saw water, and there's weak spots where you'll have problems, and it's not that I checked those weak spots because it didn't even occur to me. I came out and they were spraying, so I had to go around and I had to check the entire system, and sure enough, I found a place where it had blown off. I'll connect up 3/4 and 3/4 with a straight connector, and it blew off right there, which was odd. That was an odd place. You can hear the chick. There's about 20 of them right there in a trough, and it's cold outside right now. So we brought them in, and they kind of stink. But they're in. They can't be out. It's too cold for them. They're just babies. They've only been hatched out for a week or so. So they're in, and they're just the chicks that we took some of our eggs and put them in an incubator. And it was just sort of an exercise to go through, because you're hearing, oh, you're not going to be able to get chicks this year, and all this stuff, which I think was a bunch of hooey, because I haven't seen any evidence of that. I don't know if anybody has. All right, we got Sean Wise with us. Haven's with us. Right on. Haven't seen a while, Haven. Maybe you're with us and you just don't say you're with us. And Jay-Z. And Brian's with us. Right on. Well, I guess we'll be seeing you. This weekend, I need to mention that this weekend is our seed swap event. And it's going to be our third time that we've done this. The first time we did it, it was Jill put it out on her channel that it would be fun if we could swap seeds. And Jill said, yeah, I'd like to do that. And we actually, the first time we did it, we had a beautiful day. Last year we did it again, and I think we had about 40 people show up, and it was a terrible day. It was snowing and spitting rain and cold and blowing. Had a campfire going, didn't make any difference. You couldn't get close enough to it. We wound up in the house, and it was sort of like standing room only. But we had fun. The whole idea is to get together, It is nice to be able to swap seeds and things like that. That's really great. It's great. But the real beauty of it is we get to come together and talk, have coffee. We have lunch. People bring a dish to pass. And I think Jill will probably make a bunch of something that we have. People figure out what we do, but mostly it's just fellowship, it's friendship, and we've actually fostered some tremendous friendships through the tribe events, and I cannot say enough about the tribe. I see some great things coming of it, and I don't think that the tribe is going to be the be all and the end all. I think that there will be a tribe that congregates at Baker's Green Acres. Actually, there will be a tribe that congregates at the DeCleric Homestead, because they're pretty far south of us. And then down at Jay-Z's, there'll be a tribe that will congregate there. Hopefully, that's what we want. So recently, we made a couple of videos. Joe did. I was in those videos, and I'm walking along with a bucket in my hand, gloves on. It's cold out. Got my dopey farmer hat on. Said, you don't need to be farming alone, and join the tribe, and da 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 da. And people responded in like droves, right? So on my phone, we have to let them in. It's a private group on Facebook. And, I don't know how I feel about social media, but it's a way that we can get a message out that I think is a pretty important message. And, when you just think about it with your brain, hey, this is a good thing. It makes sense to do this. But then you wind up having an event like Seed Saving Day, or Seed Exchange, whatever you want to call it, and 50 people come. And you're going around, the people are smiling, they're laughing, they're talking, they're making, they can't wait to come. And then your heart kicks in and you say that, oh, this is a good thing. This is a good thing on a different level, right? So I'm really glad to see the tribe expanding. The other day, Jill put out a post on the tribe welcoming people to the tribe. And I think it was on Facebook and other places that she monitors. And she says, well, we want to know where you are and, the general area. We don't need your street address, general area, and what you're doing. And people were really good about that. And it was really neat to sit there and read through them and find out where people are from. So I'm proposing a map. And I don't know if it'll have streets and stuff on. We're going to have to look at them, because right now there's 2,600 people in the tribe, somewhere around that. That is a lot of people. I know some groups have like millions of people, but I think the homesteader tribe people are a little different. I think they are more of the doer class. They're more interested in the information that's on the tribe because they're planning to do the thing, or they are doing the thing. So I think we have a different group of people, and it'd be really neat if I had a map, say someplace in here, with a little pin for each farmstead that's doing it. And then we could, at a glance, we could look at, wow, that's what 2,600 people looks like on a map. And then we can figure out a way that it could be like district, sort of. And that district could be its own anyone can farm tribe. And so you could be the Iroquois, and we'll be the Apaches, and those guys can be the Sioux and the Crow, and then the Passamaquoddy, on the East Coast. That's a really neat thing to think about. We are all tribes people. We are all homesteaders or small farmers, but we're not centralized, because you really don't want anything centralized, because it could be abused. So you don't want that. You want individual tribes, right, that get together and share the same sort of things. And if they want to go a different direction, like as the Sioux tribe, and they want to be vegans, well, there's room for vegans in the tribe. I mean, I don't think that or they want to be the guys the bald guys, or I don't know. They could be anything. They could be Democrats, the Democrat tribe. Not I don't care. Who cares? And I don't think there's any criteria other than no other than it is an agricultural homesteading site. If you decide that you're going to be a snowmobiling group, well, I don't think that's going to work, but I don't think it would go anywhere either. I really don't think it would go anywhere. So I think it's going to be self-regulating. And nice thing about a non-centralized thing, a non-centralized group, is it will regulate itself, and no part will be greater than another part. I think. All right. So Keith is with us. Hildy's saying, my mom used to put them in our kitchen because we had a wood stove my mom cooked on. Yeah. I did the same thing. I got ice trees growing from my sprinklers that I use for wallows. Can't, yeah. Yeah. I went around and made sure that we weren't having a problem. I knew there was a problem as soon as I turned the water on in the sink morning because it came on and then and then it came on and then I went down to the shop, turned the lights on, and they were on, and then there was a slight flicker, so I knew the pump came on. It's on the same. So I've gotten to know this place, know when something's not right, and I've even in recent years, I've really shrunk the the area where I have water way down. So if I do have a problem, like if I hear the pump running too much, I can get out there and I can troubleshoot it pretty quickly. But we've got chickens out in chicken tractors right now, and lost two of them last night because it was cold. It was down below 28, and it was windy. And Rachel said they were just keeled over, dead. So we went out and we put some barriers up around them today, and so they'll be fine. We won't be putting any more out until probably beginning of next week. Yeah, so Seed Savers is going to be this coming Saturday. If you are inclined to come and fellowship with some of the homesteaders, by all means come. We have two buildings that we can get in and the house too. But the cafe, which doesn't have anything right now, I will set up tables in it so we can sit in there and have lunch. Will be warm and set up, and the butcher shop will be cleaned out, and we'll be able to sit in there and have some fun as well. Plus, it's supposed to be up around 40, 70% chance of rain. I'm sure we'll walk around the farm and it'll be fun to be out for a little while. Farmers really don't get so terribly beat up by the weather. They're still going to get together and they're still going to have fun. So by all means, we're going to start about 10 o'clock. We'll have coffee and some things to nibble on. If you want to come, think about bringing a dish to pass for lunch, and we'll probably take lunch about noon. We're not going to have any speakers or anything like that. We might just sit around, maybe in a round, and just have a little round table session, like what is going on? What are you guys concerned about? Where do you think we're going as a tribe? Maybe things like that. Maybe we will. Tonight, we're going to talk about the purpose-driven homestead. That is the subject Jill picked, and it's because of the book club that they're doing, and that's the name of the book, Purpose-Driven Homestead. And she said that it's a very good book. The people's their political bent is much different than ours. They're very, very leftist, and this is an old book. And I haven't read it, but these people were in the system and they completely punched out. And I think it's in the 40s. They completely punched out, went off grid, and just lived their life. Now that would have been different then because they didn't have a phone to look at and see what's going on in the world. But in some ways, we're able to do the same thing. And when Jill brought up the subject today, I said to her, well, let's kind of flesh this out a little bit because I was unsure if that was a subject that I wanted to tackle. And I said, well, what's the purpose of this farm? And when I asked the question, I say that a lot. If you've got a situation and you're trying to find peace with it, ask yourself the question. Let your mind work on it. You don't have to sit there and ponder it. You can just say, what am I going to do about this? What am I going to do about this? Before you go to sleep at night, how am I going to fix this? And in some ways, I think if you don't crowd the process with your own, let's talk about this. If you don't do that, so if you do it before you go to sleep, you ask yourself the question of how we're going to fix this, a lot of times it comes right through. I mean, it just really clear. I had a situation not too long ago and was giving me a lot of heartburn, and it was the equipment that we're using for milking. So our milking business, our milk business, we're selling milk, herd shares we're doing, to, I don't know, just cause there's reasons for it. I am here to tell you that raw milk is not illegal. People think it is illegal, and they think the fix is do herd shares and then you're fine. So fine, we'll do that. And there are perks to doing herd shares because people have to be shaken loose from the grocery store model. And if they sign up for Tuesday milk, they can't take Thursday milk just because they come on Thursday. They have to take Tuesday milk. The grocery stores, you get the freshest stuff there is. But we can't do that because we're generating like 10 gallons of milk a day, and we mash the day and the milk on that day with the customer. And if they choose to be a day late, then they're getting day late milk. If they choose to be a week late, they're getting week old milk. So it's their choice. They still have to pay for it because they've bought into the share. That's how we do it. So I was struggling with this because this pump that I've had, vacuum pump that I've had for 10 years, was not working as advertised. And I would take it apart, I'd get it running, I'd put it together, it would run for a while, and then the pressure would drop off again. And several times I sent videos around to people, I fix it, it's working. And then in 3 days, it would drop back down to 8 psi or millibars of vacuum. And it's on the bench down there, and I really did not figure out what was wrong with it. And I had gone to the dairy supply place, and they were like, well, I don't know if we can get parts for it. But still, I would be without it. I cannot go without it. And then a friend of mine had one that we were using, but it was a chunk of junk. But mine had a good tank on it, and mine had a good motor on it. His had a good vacuum pump on it, had a crummy, even the pulleys were no good on his, but the vacuum pump was. So I said, hey, sell that to me. And he shot me a price. It was actually kind of high for what it was, but the alternative was I would have to send away to Connecticut for placement for mine, and it would be 2 weeks. Usually stuff usually comes overnight. And so it was a kind of a problem. Or I could buy a brand new unit. I could buy a brand new unit, but it was $2,000. $2,000. I can get a lot of work done with $2,000. So I was going back and forth, and it sort of felt like, oh, just spend the $2,000 and then you'll be done with this problem. Yeah, but I can pay Matt quite a bit. I can pay that to Matt to get my infrastructure built here that we will benefit a lot more from than a $2,000 pump. And it would not be the pump that I need. Actually, I am going to spring for a bigger pump, but I'm going to wait until our facility is completely built and we're making that kind of money, and then I can pay it back, right? So I came up with the solution, and it occurred to me while I was milking, and we're all good now. But yeah, so I have to ask myself the question quite a bit is, what is the purpose of my homestead? What is the purpose? And I think there are a lot of reasons why a lot of purposes that a person could come up with. But let me just tell you what my purpose was when we started doing this. I was in the military, and you know that, and I was getting ready to retire. In the military, you can leave after 20 years military service, and you can draw your pension, which it's not like working for IBM. It's half of your base pay. And I think my base pay at the time, you know, it wasn't that much. I don't remember what it was. But I was able to draw my retirement at 20 years, right? And so that's what retirement in the military is all about. So you're retired from the military, but you certainly, I was 44 years old. You can't stop working, and you're not getting enough to just go to Tahiti in the summertime. You get enough to about make a house payment, you know. And so that was about how it worked out for us. Not quite. We had to kind of augment that a little bit. So I went to work right away when I got out, and I was working at a power plant in town, and very dangerous and noisy, and the guys had bad attitudes. Most of them were Navy, so it just wasn't working for me. It was just a bad environment. I got hurt a couple times, and other people had gotten hurt seriously there. It was really understaffed, very bureaucratic. It was gross. So I left, and the purpose of the farm in the first place was I wanted to not work. I wanted to work with my family. Uh, Having been in the military, and in my later years, I was in supervision. So you have young men come to you, and you size them up. And the best people that we had were farm kids, without a doubt. Farm kids. They could figure stuff out. Uh, if they had to work in the rain, they would just, they just do it. They wouldn't complain. Kids from town, city kids, wow, they would figure out a lot of ways to get out of work. And they had attitudes, a lot of them, not all of them. I had some kids that were city kids that hooked up with other kids, or they wanted to please me. And so they would take cues from me, and they would say, well, what do you think I should do? And I said, I think you should just man up and get it done. Forget your raincoat. You're going to get wet in this life. You just get it done. And they, oh, okay, well, Sergeant Baker really thinks that's cool that I'm tough, and yeah, I do, because we had terrible stuff that we had to do. And, the weather wasn't working for you all the time. And yeah, but farm kids by far were the best. And we had a little bit of a homestead at my last duty assignment, and my oldest son really benefited from it because he had things to do, and I could see that that was good for him. And they were not things like cleaning his room. I mean, it was more than that. He was the guy that took care of the chickens, and a couple of times I had to go wake him up at night and say, hey, I just noticed you didn't do the chickens. Oh, can I do them in the morning? No, they got to be done now. Here's a flashlight. And so after doing that a couple times, he was like, ooh, Dad's serious about it. And I remember one time he was grounded for the summer because I had asked him to mow the lawn while I was gone, and he didn't do it. And it wound up in a grounding for the summer. So the farm becomes it becomes a significant learning experience for our children that we're charged with raising and then turning loose into the countryside, and they have to be able to make a living for themselves. And all of my kids that are out of the house are doing superb, absolutely superb. Huh? Keith S. Mark, the wood will be delivered next Thursday. Whoa. Okay. Okay. The cleric's with us. Crunchy Mom is with us. Right on. Right on. So for us, the purpose of this homestead was to be a training aid for my children. That when you really get down to it, that's really what it was. And I became the main instructor. We had a mission, you know, and it was to make money so that we could survive, make a living. Um, I wouldn't have done as well if I just went to work in town. I probably would have gotten raises and maybe done okay. But nobody would be here to supervise my sons while I was gone. My wife had to take care of the babies, and so they would be mostly in the house, and I would be gone for 10 hours a day. And it was just like it was when I was in the Air Force. I was gone all the time. So that wasn't going to work. So my my goal was to have enough work here that was profitable that I could be here. My sons could work with me and my daughters. I have two daughters, and we could work as a family and make a living together. And at first, it was a little rough. There wasn't an instruction manual, but we did. We did figure it out. We figured it out. It didn't go the way I thought it was going to go, but it went. And this is the reason for the Anyone Can Farm tribe is you can't just sit on that information. You have to help other people that are trying to do this too. And I'm looking at you, right? So you have to pass this information on because people are passionate about this. I was 44 when I started doing it, and I had been given a lot of instruction in the Air Force about problem solve, and I don't know. Plus, I was a creative person anyway. Um, the Air Force didn't really fulfill my creativeness. They don't really like creativeness. They have their way, and they want you to do it that way. And if you kind of veer off a little bit, it's like somebody won't like that too much. They want you to do it a certain way. And even within those restraints, I was able to get some stuff done. But it wasn't always appreciated. And I was not a good airman for sure. I wasn't. I was always kind of thinking someplace else. I was an independent thinker. And the Air Force does really good you do really good in the Air Force if you just spit back, what they want you to spit back and do it that way. And I wasn't really that way. I thought there was better ways to do things a lot of times, and that wasn't always appreciated. So I was in and out of being appreciated and then not appreciated and stuff. Whatever. I still finished up, and I got an honorable discharge on my DD 214. So that's what it's all about. But I wasn't. I'm sure there would be guys that would be listening to this and saying he was a terrible airman. He was an attitude. He was this. He was that. And that might be true. But the way I am, it works perfectly for this career field that I'm in because I'm a good self-starter. I have well, this really ain't about me, but I do have tenacity. Like if something needs to get done, I'm getting it done. One way or another, I'm going to get it done. Like that pump, I still haven't got it done, but I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the whole shebang. I'm going to take it down to the dairy equipment place and say, here, you guys, you're the experts. Get this thing fixed because it's a nice little unit, but it's not working. So anyway, that was our purpose in coming here. I wanted to work with my wife. I didn't want to be leaving. I wanted to take advantage of the abundance that I saw when I was just a brand new homesteader, I could see that, wow, we're making a serious gain in this garden here. All we're doing is putting seeds in the ground, and this bush pops up with, with tomatoes on it, right? More tomatoes than I can eat, right? So I could see, and I knew that in farming there was almost an unfair gain. There really is an unfair. I saw this thing today. A guy says, I want to let you in on what I'm doing. I put seeds in the ground and they grow. And I sell the corn, and I people buy it for money. It grows out of the freaking ground. And he goes on, he says, and these animals right here, they got eggs coming out of their butts. And people want these eggs. They'll pay good money for these eggs. And it's true. It's true. There is a ton of abundance. And that was a discovery that we made along the way. And like if you guys listened to the interview that we had last Thursday night, that guy is going to be here on Tribe Day, and he has made it his business to know everything there is to know about fodder trees. And fodder trees are like the counterpart of foddering systems that I use. Like my grow area, I grow a lot of foddering beets and fodder greens and field peas and turnips and stuff like that. And then I turn my animals in on them. Well, he's done it with trees. And like he said, he didn't dream it up. He's just researched it and then pursued it. And I am going through the same thing because it's just a tremendous gain there. All right. The ghost is with us. Right on. That's the military. Can't use someone who questions the order to storm a machine gun nest. Yeah, they would have never given me that order. I wasn't into that. So I think what you have to do, I think we've identified here that asking yourself questions is a good thing. So you're going to sleep at night. You've got a kind of a thing that you're working on, that you're trying to figure out. You ask yourself the question, what do I need to do here? And during the night, your head works on that. And lo and behold, in the morning or the next day, or maybe a couple of days down the road, boom, you've got an answer to it. I don't think there's too much in the homesteading world that there isn't an answer for. The tribe is nice because you can put a question out there and people can give you a bunch of input. That's why it's kind of nice to read what other people are doing, because that's data that's going into your computer, and you may call it back up later on. But you ask yourself this question before you have a problem, like, why are we doing this? What is our purpose? What is our goal? And then wait until your answers come to you. Like, what is the purpose of this homestead? Is it for raising our children? Is it, and it might be something might come up that you didn't even know. Like, I am thinking now, after I think the Wu flu was a huge wake up call, right? And we're starting to see MDs, really good MDs and researchers and scientists, good ones, that are saying, I don't think so. Let's look at it from this point of view. And they can go on and on and on. And you hear that and you say, I didn't know there was an alternative point of view to medicine. The point of view that we've always known, the point of view that I've always known anyway, is there is a guy and you call him doctor. He commands respect. Your mom and dad tell you, well, do what the doctor says. And you don't question it very much. It's not because you're told don't question it. It's just that they know, oh, they go to school a long time. It's really hard. They're the smartest guys there are. And I'm not throwing stones at all of them. I know a lot of them that are quite maverick in the way they handle themselves. And what I mean by that is they don't go along with the the storyline. But I know others. I can think of one, yeah. And I think about her because she is close in this county, and she vaccinated lots and lots of people, and did not question, just did what she was told. And we've got a problem, right, in this town. So they didn't know, they don't, we can, we learned that there's an alternative way to look at things during the Wu flu. I mean, when it first came out, it smelled like bad fish, and at least I thought it did. And then as it progressed, it was a pile of bad fish. Actually, I can't say too much about that because I'll get kicked off here. Um, so your purpose may be health. Uh, I don't know. I've always kind of felt that, well, if food is at the store, it's got to be somebody's job to make sure that it's wholesome. Well, the scientific community has said all these chemicals are okay. Like the other day, I read off the chemicals that were in a thing of salad dressing, and you couldn't even pronounce them all. And like, what do those do to the human body? And the scientific community is definitely on board with it because it's okayed by the USDA and the Food and Drug Administration, so it must be okay. Those are the best and the brightest. Yeah, right. So the more you can take control of these, I'm saying this may be one of your purposes. More you can take control of these processes, creating your own food, the better chance you're going to have of having more wholesome food going in and nourishing your body than if you don't have that ability, to create your own food. If your food is all coming from the store, so that may be your purpose. Um, Maybe it'd be fun if you guys put what your purposes are up here, and I can kind of read them and talk about that. But your purpose can change. I know mine is. Our purpose at first was we were not interested in teaching anybody else how to do this. That was not why we got into it. Um, the only reason why we are doing this is because I guess we've been doing it a little bit longer and we're a little bit older, and people wind up coming to us all the time saying, how do you do this? How do you do that? And so once we say, well, you do it like this, you do it like that, and share a bunch of information, more people come. So you have to create an avenue to share more information. That was how it began. Actually, Anyone Can Farm was, how do we deal with these interruptions of people wanting to come and basically bother me, right? How do we deal with this? Because I wouldn't turn anybody away, but if you had 3 people a week that came, and before you know it, an hour has slipped by. You walk out here, you talk about this a little bit, you walk over here, you talk about this a little bit, and shake hands, they're gone. An hour is gone. And whatever I was doing before that, it's over. I have to restart what I'm doing. And I kept saying to Joe, this can't go on. I cannot do this. And so I think it was around the campfire, and some of our friends were here, and it was like, maybe you should just, have like a training day where if people want to know about something, they can come that day. And we did that. We opened up Saturdays, but then nobody would sign up but then they would show up, and it became sort of like they would stay all day, and so that wasn't working. So then we had to reconfigure it so it was going to be this much time this on this day, and then uh, then you'd have some people would be here and they want to talk about beef, and some people are here and they want to talk about pastured poultry. So that wasn't going to work. We had to split the processes up. Okay, we're going to do beef this day, um, rotational grazing, and talk about pasturing. And then on this day, we're going to do pastured poultry. And then we kind of came up with a curriculum, so it wouldn't be just me that's turning people onto this. It could be others, and it wound up where it is right now. And maybe someday, if somebody else takes over the production here, I would be just a trainer, maybe. But I think at that point, I would be training my replacement. And I think I'm doing that right now. There are people right here, right now, that have taken seriously what I say. We all need to train each other. We need to have other centers of training, and they have actually done that. And good on you. Very proud of that operation for doing that. I'm not saying it because I don't want you to do it. I'm saying it because I do want you to do it. In the military, we always train up our replacements. So, all right. So let's see what we got here. That is my purpose now. My purpose is also is training, right? And that was not my purpose until I started to see, and you need to know this, the agenda of like the governmental machine. And I don't think people get, maybe they do. I don't think people get tired of hearing this, but it's real easy to see that we don't have truly a department of agriculture. We have a department of anti-agriculture. It's actually Orwellian in a way, like George Orwell, 1984. The Department of Love was where they took you when they were going to torture you. So we have the Department of Agriculture, but they're not really there as the go-to guys on how to do anything. They're not. They are there as a funnel to get people, to direct people into industrial agriculture. And industrial agriculture is there because that's a good place to sell tractors and chemicals, and it's a good, and they've taken it a step further. They've centralized the food production, and our government does that. They like to centralize everything so they can have control of it. And I don't think that the individual people that are working for the Department of Ag even know what's going on. Like, they don't know that food is centralized so it can be used as a weapon. I don't think they know that. I don't know. They don't seem none of them seem, I haven't met one of them that seems like they're actually smart and forward thinking. They are very much, like test takers. Well, the answer is this, but they don't think any further than that. I haven't met any of them. The ones that I've met all seem to have psychological problems. That's what I think. I mean, call me crazy, but a woman that dresses like a man and acts like a man, I think that's a psychological problem. I don't think that's like a wholesome, fit person. Like you guys know how I feel. If some man like a Bruce Jenner decides, I think I'll put on a dress and grow my hair long and change my name to, I don't know, Cindy, I think that's a mental problem. I don't think that's legit. I'm not playing along. Just like if the guy said, I think I'll be invisible, I would play along if he was 2 years old, but I'm not going to play along if he's 65 years old. I think that's kind of sick to even play along with. I think it's crazy to play along with. And these guys are like this. They play this game that industrial agriculture is actually good. Oh no, it doesn't pollute. The food is wholesome. I eat it all the time, says the 300-pound lady, with a skin condition and, just falling apart, right? So, the commander, I said this before a million times, the commander in chief has come out and says, expect food shortages. And the Department of Agriculture has got no answers. So how are they the Department of Agriculture? How come we have answers? How come tribe has answers? People in the tribe has answers to a food shortage. Yeah, okay, we'll grow our own. We should have never outsourced our food to anybody else. That was a bad idea. So anyway, it's time to take back control of that. You can. All right, Johnny. 3806. The purpose is self-sustainability. Right on. I really like that. I get a good feeling about being able to take care of what I need to take care of, and not only survive, but then thrive. Right. I like that. I get a good feeling about that, and I like moving that direction. Just imagine 3806, Agent 3806, if there were technologies, I mean, simple technologies too, not elaborate machinery and, I don't know, like Back to the Future type stuff, but just simple technology that is in books already, that is not brought to the forefront. Kind of like what Nick Ferguson was talking about last Thursday night. Fodder trees, like white mulberries. That was his favorite, I guess. The white mulberry. And the poplar. I got real excited about the poplar because around here they grow like weeds. They're everywhere. You get these saplings coming up, they're about this big, and they'll just be thick coming up. Now, I haven't done it with poplar, but I'm going to. When they come up and the leaves come out, I'm going to go out there with my shears, my lopping shears, and I'm going to cut them off. I'm going to cut a bunch of them off, put them in my wagon, bring them back, and then I don't have a chipper shredder, but I was looking at them today. But just think, if I could just cut those up with a machete on a block, and I can throw them in with the pigs, and they eat them. Just think. How come we don't know about that? We should, shouldn't we? Yeah, we should. We should. I mean, the pigs will eat a lot of other things. I reckon they will eat those. A lot of times when we trim trees, we always throw the branches in with them. And it's amazing how much of the branches they eat. But if we were to chip that up in a chipper shredder and put it in a bag, maybe put some molasses on it and let it ferment, I think we would have a great source of feed. And you think about the nutritional value of that, the minerals that a deep-rooted tree pulls up from way down in the earth, the boron and all the trace minerals that we try to figure out a way to get those in our bodies. And we take Centrum Silver and Centrum and all that stuff. And, you just manure them out because your body can't take them in. But if my pigs can take them in and they can store it in their fat, and then we can utilize their fat and lean, and our bodies can take it up, I don't know if that will happen, but I'm thinking it will. I think that there's a design to this. when you think about pigs and you think about them eating all the forages that drop out of trees, like acorns, hazelnuts, chestnuts, um, just acorns, the tons that drop, and yet nobody tells us that you can feed those to pigs. Why not? I mean, that should be screamed from the mountaintops. Well, if we were feeding that to pigs, then we wouldn't feed them. We would be feeding them corn and soy. But if we were, we could actually be feeding our pigs out for very little or nothing. We could. Okay. Johnny's saying, I don't respect any doctor after spending a week at the hospital with COVID. Yeah. I'm not saying one way or the other that COVID is real. I'm not, because it, I don't, I think there was something, but I think there's always something. I think that they got inside of our heads and they said, "Oh, this will kill you." So when people got sick with a flu or something that was going around, they freaked and they made it much worse in their minds. And I know people get mad if they were sick, but you go to the hospital and they're like, "Cha-ching, we got a bed for you." It could get really bad, and then they start you on things, and it kind of weakens you. And I don't know. Okay, Inga Brummins, you should come up here, Inga, on Seed Saving Day. You haven't been up to Baker's Green Acres. I just watched a very interesting thing on needed natural metals in our bodies, copper being of importance. I swallowed a penny one time when I was a little kid. I don't know if it was smaller when it came out, but I know it came out. If too much zinc and vitamin C are taken, it depletes our copper. Copper deficiency mimics COVID. No smell, no taste, etc. It was interesting to say the least. I tell you what, I listened to a thing the other day. There's this Dr. Lee Merrick. I think it's Merrick. I'm not sure. Maybe it's Merritt, but anyway, something like that. And a friend of mine that's pretty astute as far as things like that goes sent it to me, and she said, "You should listen to this." And I did. And Dr. Merrick speaks my language because she was a military doc. And she's just the kind of take no prisoners type. And she's 70 years old. She's had a very successful life, and she doesn't really care what anybody, if you got a doc that's in their 30s, they can't go saying, "Well, I don't think the AMA has anything to offer," because they're licensed through that organization. Or they're licensed through the state. So they better fall in line. But Dr. Merrick, nobody owns her. And so she was talking about COVID, and she was talking about parasites and things of that nature. Very interesting. So, okay. Keith is saying his reason is to help and be sustainable. Okay, because Keith does help. He uses his farm as a ministry tool, and I think that's very commendable because he's got people around him that are less fortunate that he's able to feed through that, and that's a good thing. I think that's a real good thing. A farm can be an excellent ministerial tool. In my case, we have, I'm a veteran, and so I'm able to relate better to other veterans that are having problems adjusting to civilian life. And so we've taken in quite a few guys, and maybe not taking them in to live with us, but we take them in and let's talk with them and be with them. And that's all it takes. Maybe give them a kick in the rear end when they need it, that type of thing. Okay, Johnny. Government screws up everything they get involved with. Yeah, I don't see how you can. I think you don't have the luxury of depending on them. Don't. You need to be depending on other people, your tribe, and yourself. That's what you need to start doing. And then there's less importance given to what government says or what they do. And I don't meant to have government be our mom and dad. That wasn't how it was supposed to be. And I think or the fact that we are so dependent on them is our fault. It's not like they control. I think maybe they do, but we we turn over too much control to them. We depend on them too much. We're constantly asking them, for permission to do stuff on our own property. That's dumb. That's really dumb. And I think that you have a tendency to become more independent, more self-reliant when you read through the Bill of Rights, the U.S. Constitution, because all of a sudden it's a slap in the face. Hey, you're on your own. You are on your own. I'm not opposed to uh, like the sheriff's department because um, there are situations where we need those guys. I'm not opposed to police. I'm not. But you see in neighborhoods where people rely on them too much that the police become sort of like your mother and father, and uh, they're too involved, right? But that's because the people have drawn them in. Like I have no involvement with the police here. This is just it just isn't. We don't need them. We're able to handle most things on our own and things like that. For sure, we can handle on our own. Okay, Ingo, what do you got? It's odd to me that people don't try natural remedies first because before running to pharma. I'd love to see more natural foraging and food prep classes where we actually explore nature around us. Well, it might be odd to you, but that's really you. Because if you go like like we do once in a while traveling and we have to stay at a hotel and my kids got to have a pool, right? And so what? If they're going to come with us, we'll get them a place with a pool. No problem. We got to get it anyway. But you turn the TV on and you see one medication after another medication after another, all of them that you can't pronounce them. You know, a lot of them begin with Y's and a lot of them begin with Z's, and you know, and they're for everything under the sun. And they tell you about the condition people have, and they're sad and they're lethargic. But then when they take this drug, oh, they're doing cartwheels on the beach, and they're smiling and everything's fine. So why are you surprised that people run to pharma? They put a lot of energy, a lot of time and effort into advertising to people that they have the answers. So why wouldn't people go to pharma? And it's the same reason why people smoke cool cigarettes is because they have a great looking babe on the beach smoking a cool cigarette. I mean, they're saying that if you want to be a babe on the beach, you got to smoke cools. Or, if you want to have fun on the beach, you better be drinking Miller beer, Miller High Life. I mean, that's where if they showed the reality of it, people that smoke cools generally don't look too cool and have bad health, and they're probably drinking Miller beer too. But no one's asking them out because they smell bad and they're drunk all the time. So it's marketing. It's all marketing. And marketing is convincing, right? Convincing, conning people that Your problems will be over if you drink Miller beer or smoke Marlboros, Eh, people fall into it all the time. And I think if you're a con man, you use something that we don't use here is they use untruths. Like the reality is if you drink Miller High Life beer, you will be fat and you will get DUIs and you will say stupid things in sensitive company. And after a while, you won't care. All you want is Miller beer. I know, I've been there. If you smoke cool cigarettes, you're going to be in poor health in no time, actually. You won't be that cool chick on the beach with the sunglasses and the cigarette. You'll be that fat, terrible shape, bad attitude, littering, throwing cigarettes down on the beach. I hate that. I just can't stand that. People that smoke that come here and they throw cigarettes in the driveway just drives me crazy. I can't stand. I pick them up and I throw them in their car. Like, no, you can take that with you. I don't mind. So it's marketing. So why wouldn't people go to big pharma, right? You have to be in kind of a counterculture, right? To see through that, right? There are better ways, pharma for sure. I mean, pharma's got some good products, I'm sure, but not for me. Okay, so what do we got? Hildy's saying, I buy pork chops at Whole Foods, and do you think they vaccinate the pigs from there with mRNA? I saw a video that Merck started to vac pigs with mRNA starting 2018. I don't know about that. I've heard that. I've heard it. Yeah. I can't say one way or another. I'd like to say, oh yeah, for sure, you should buy pigs from us, but I don't really know. It will be the same thing if I say, oh yeah, that's a problem. So the solution would be, well, then buy pork from me. That wouldn't be too. But I don't know, Hildy. I just don't know. Crunchy Mama agrees with Inga. Andy is with us. Some of the best farming advice is World War II and earlier writing. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you there. In a lot of ways, they don't have to bury information. They just don't bring it up. So we have something that I think is kind of unnecessary. We have the universities. Now, if you want to go to the university, by all means, go ahead. Go ahead. But some people don't. The information could be passed on from other successful farmers. And the university, like, they're not the keepers of all this information. They don't teach people traditional farming, not on a big enough scale or a serious enough scale, because traditional farmers like me, I don't fund the university. The university is funded by big companies like Cargill and Monsanto and those guys. They're the ones that fund the universities. And so if they fund the universities, they got a say in the curriculum. And their say is going to be buy Monsanto stuff, buy Cargill stuff, on and on, buy Tyson stuff, or, promote that type of farming, right? That's marketing, you can't blame them. But when the extension service comes out into the community, their first inkling is not to teach farmers about traditional farming, and the gains you can make farming traditionally. They want to push industrial agriculture. So it's a lot of concrete, a lot of heavy metal, a lot of chemicals, a lot of pollution. They'll say pollution control, but I don't believe that. I mean, they're the ones. Our river right here is polluted so bad, kids can't even swim in it, and it's from the farms. It's from the farms. And the DEQ, the Department of Environmental Quality, will say, "Oh no, they're doing everything right." So it's like the DEQ is actually running defense for these farms that are polluting, our lakes and streams and rivers. It's terrible. They pollute the air, they pollute the water, and it's like it's sort of like if you live in this community and you're part of industrial agriculture, you're kind of trained to say, "Oh no, that isn't it. We're not doing that. No, we're regulated, heavily regulated by them. So we don't do that." Well, then who is polluting that river? It's not me. It's not guys like me. There's no industry that's polluting this river. So who is it? Who's doing the runoff? Who's using the glyphosate? Not us. Who's putting the fertilizer on the fields? The petrochemical fertilizer. Well, it'll make your corn grow, but what else does it do? It runs off into the rivers and brooks and streams, and where does it wind up? In the lakes. Yeah. And what happens when all that fertilizer winds up in the lakes? You have this unbelievable algae bloom, and what happens then? So on and on and on it goes, and it's not like the DEQ is there to prevent that from happening. No, they actually run defense for those guys. All right. David, y'all will likely enjoy the YouTube channel Landrace Gardening, specifically the latest 2 videos. All right, I'll write that down. Landrace Gardening. All right. Andy says they are doing more with less off the shelf than most farmers today can imagine. They're doing more with less off the shelf. Huh. That would be good news then? Yeah. Okay, the ghost. Apparently tree fodder can help get your cattle through a drought. Trees have a healthy root system that can tap into deep water. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've never done any of that. I've done like sapling control because it creeps in on my hay fields. And I'm always a little nervous about knocking them down with my hay bind because some of them get pretty big pretty quick. And I don't want to break sections off on my sickle bar, but sometimes you can't avoid it. And so I'm hitting them all the time. But if I could, instead of just go out there and cutting them down and throwing them further into the woods, let's say I was cutting them off and we cut 5 feet into the woods because we're harvesting them and then run them through a chipper shredder and feed them to the pigs. Like this guy Ferguson said, you can. If that works and it works good, I'm all in. I am all in. All right, David. Varieties are key to nutrition. Heirlooms are generally damaged due to inbreeding depression. Combine multiple varieties and save seed each year and create new land races. Grains need landrace work. Landrace. I'm going to have to check into that. Sounds like you're on to something. We have a friend named Craig Schaff, and he talks to us about when he comes and does a class here, and he talks to us about seed saving in our own biosphere. And our seeds, they definitely will adapt to our biosphere and self selectively breed. So and we want to save certain seeds and let other ones go. And every year that we do it, we get a healthier, stronger seed base, right? And I think he's right. Okay, Johnny. Okay, I'm here to tell you COVID is real and the protocol at the hospital was killing people. Okay. All right. Still a pure blood and still have major immune issues due to the COVID. I wonder if you took the you know what. All right. I've heard people say the same thing, but I've also, you know, I got to tell you, I know people that have I know them and they've said no, it don't exist. It was all a protocol based problem, you know. Okay. On the lab program that leaked topic, check out EO Nutrition to learn about megadosing vitamin B1 thiamine as protocol for dealing with fallout from fighting the effects. Also, nato kinase for clots. Yeah. Okay. EO Nutrition is the name of the YouTube channel. Okay. EO Nutrition. I'm going to write that down too. Sounds like this guy might be onto something. EO. I don't want to hurt your feelings there, Johnny. When people that have gone through that, they say, "Oh no, it's real," because I was sicker than I ever was. I was sick one time. I was over in Wisconsin at a trial, and I came home, did a class on pastured poultry, and about the time the class was coming to an end, I came down with something. I was in bed for 4 days. My son Frank was just a little shaver, and he was still in diapers. I was using his diapers to line my skivvies. I could not control my bowels. I've never had that before or since. I was as sick as I have ever been. And I have no idea what it was. And this wasn't, in the COVID time frame at all. And hallucinations, the whole 9 yards. I lost probably 15 pounds in those 4 days. I couldn't eat anything, couldn't keep anything down. So, you know, I know what it's like to be sick. It's just that if I had gotten sick like that and somebody said, well, that's COVID, I would have, okay. But it didn't happen to us. We never really got it. All right. Haha. That's why I brew my own. I want to be cool. Yeah. Brewskis. Yeah. Okay. There's an old English book I picked up on the virtues of brewing your own beer, and in same book he rails against tea. I am curious about the idea of leaving dead yeast in homebrew for B vitamins. Yeah, I don't know. That's above my pay grade. I don't know. David saying William Cobbett Cottage Economy, to which is added the poor man's friend, or a defense of the rights of those who do the work and fight the battles. Very long title. Okay. Cool. I hope people get that. If that could be some good info. All right. Hayden, I want to build a homestead that facilitates a balanced life, that teaches my future family responsibility and shows them how to work and provide in abundance. I want to be in the position to help others. Admirable, my lad, my friend. And I wonder if you put that in a question form and read that before you go to sleep at night. You will find a way to do it. I think you're on the way to doing it anyway. Nancy's with us. Eater of smoke. Do you supplement your pigs with grain when they have pasture fodder to eat? Just got 3 mangalites of piglets and am trying to figure out how to wean them off the grain diet. Just wean them. Just don't give it to them, and then throw them hay, and they'll eat it, and then start finding other stuff to throw to them. And it's surprising what they eat. But if you're constantly giving them grain, especially it's prepared feed like a hog chow, they're going to scream at you. But when they get hungry, they'll eat other stuff. You just got to do it. And I don't wean them. Don't wean them. Don't like give them half ration of food and think that they're going to go after their hay. That's like, no, they'll just eat less and wait for that. But just cut them off and throw them hay. They'll eat it. And then look at the videos that we put up on creating a grow system. And there's a lot of information on YouTube. It's on this channel too. And you can grow tons and tons of feed easily. And it doesn't even have to be really high quality. They will eat it. Okay, Nancy's saying, anyone look into electroculture, placing copper in the earth to rejuvenate the earth? Not me. I haven't looked into it, but evidently you have, and it'd be interesting. David says, I've seen videos on my YouTube feed about electroculture, but have yet to dive down that rabbit hole. Well, somebody needs to do it. Okay. I remember reading in a Mother Earth News long ago about the importance of setting up a garden and having wild birds come to it and all of that. And I don't know, but I do. I put bird houses up around my garden so we have lots and lots of swallows. And it makes it nice because they eat a lot of the mosquitoes, so you can work out there and not get destroyed in the evening. All right, I'm going to call it good. I appreciate everybody coming by. Let's see. We do not have a conference call tomorrow. We do not. I left something out here, and so I want to make good on it. This show has been brought to you by the Tribe Plus. The link is in the description. There's all kinds of good things. You can get 15% off on all LEM equipment, Roots and Harvest, ARC heirloom seeds, field and forest mushrooms, Hyzea boots, all kinds of good stuff. And then there's lots of courses, chicken tractors, fencing, biochar, cheese making, rabbits, on. And then our consulting call every Wednesday night with moi. No, not every other at this point. So we had one last week. So we will not be having one tomorrow night. The show for Thursday night, the interview night, I have not been briefed on who we are interviewing, but I'll be here. I'll be here Thursday night. And like I said, we're going to be having our seed swap this coming Saturday, starting at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock in the morning, we'll have lunch. Please bring a dish to pass. And if you have some extra seeds that you'd like to pass on, or roots, or whatever, you got some animals that you want to pass on to somebody else, by all means, bring them. Do not bring dogs with you. Do not bring dogs. This is a family-friendly. However, we will not be swimming in the pool because it's going to be cold. And we don't have any babysitters lined up. Just keep that in mind. So you'll have to I don't know. Take that as it comes. Tribe Day is different story. Babysitters set up and classes for young people. So that's a different story. And if anybody needs to camp on the farm the night before, let us know, and we can hook you up with a campsite. Okay, let's go. Get out there and get your farming on. And remember, anyone can farm. Time to get busy on this. Get your preps going. All right, I'll see you.